Hi Dean, what's your thoughts on the win at Ipswich Town now, a couple of days later?
Just the same as they were straight after kick-off. It was a great performance and much deserved win in my opinion. For it's been a while coming. We've been on a tough run of late, but the lads stuck at it. The most pleasing thing, we scored some good goals, but the lads responded to adversity, right throughout the game, and something we work hard on in training. Whether it's myself or Macca refereeing in certain moments in training sessions, we try and make it as difficult for the players as possible at times with bad decisions and stuff, to try and, the referees do the best of course, but to try and replicate them moments when you don't get what you want, you don't get what you feel you deserve, and you've got to respond. And I think as a team we're getting better at that, and I thought we did that well the other night. At times a couple of things went against the players and they stayed focused, which is what you've got to do, especially in them pressure moments, and the lads were under a bit of pressure the other night, but it was a great win. A nice moment at the end when the lads got across with our supporters. Terrible conditions, weren't they? And it was a really pleasing performance and gives the players a lot of confidence now, ready for Sunday.
Do you think it was one of the best games yet we've seen from Deju, in terms of, obviously he came on at half time, but really turned the game around, didn't he? It was a real handful.
He looked like he had a bit between his teeth second half. He was more of a focal point, I think. At times first half the ball was going forward and probably not sticking as well as we would have liked, and yeah, Fam gave us platform to play off. He was definitely more aggressive than he's been in recent weeks, and he was full of running. He got his goal, and nice to see the big man with a big smile on his face at the end, and he should be feeling $1 million now, and if selected on the weekend, I'm sure he'll relish the battle against Millwall.
What was the coach trip back? I would imagine it was a really good atmosphere in there, and the players were buzzing afterwards.
It was a long coach. It was a late one, I'm sure, as it was for everybody that travelled all that way. I think it was about 3:15 when we eventually got back to the training ground. But it was a bubbly atmosphere as you'd expect after a tough away victory. And ultimately, the staff's focus turns as quickly as possible to Millwall. One of our analysts was at the game and we were speaking to him about how they fared on the evening and any sort of injury, suspension, sendings off. Obviously they had with Leonard, so we're trying to discuss that and move on. So you enjoy the moment, of course, but you don't get too carried away. It's always about the next game.
One thing I forgot to ask Lee Johnson after the game was what happened on the sidelines with Paul Lambert and the two respective coaching teams coming together. From where I'm sat up high, I can't actually see what happened down there. So what did happen?
I think there was a coming together for whatever reason, and ultimately the referee come over and which was sensible, I thought, in my opinion. He sort of calmed the situation down, and the gaffer and Paul shook hands after the event and moved on. And in the office after the game, we popped in to see him, and now there was absolutely nothing was held against anybody. There was a good atmosphere in there and general chit chat about games and stuff, and no, it was fine.
Fair enough. And did Lee Johnson get a yellow card at the end of the game, or not? There's a few rumours that he might have.
I think it was during the game.
During the game? I might have missed that. So is that his? Do you know how many he's had this season? Is that his third? Is what I was told. I might be wrong on that.
You have to do your stats.
Okay,
that's your job. I'm only interested in trying to get a win against Millwall on Sunday.
No worries. Joe Morrell played really well there, didn't he? On for that little cameo he came on, and that was good to see, wasn't it? Another player from the academy.
Yeah. He's a great example to not just the youngsters but everyone in the squad, and what I mean by that is he's had to bide his time. His debut in the Cup was 4 years or more ago. He's been out on loan, and what happened, the more you sort of don't get your chance, there's more a chance, more sort of mentally you can start to think this is getting away from me. And I spoke to the likes of Moisa this morning to sort of say, the time you spend on the bench and you might not get on, and the gaffer might choose someone else to come on, and you're not getting your chance. That's the time you've got to stay focused, because when your number comes up, you've got to be ready. You can't cut corners, and Joe doesn't do that. He trains, honestly, he's a brilliant professional. He really is. We love him to bits, and he's a very good footballer. And I think he's shown in his performance. He was calm, he was composed under a pressured circumstance, and he did very well. Helped us to 3 points, and as I say, it was a good message for the rest of the group as well.
So Millwall up next then, Dean. What's the team news? How's Walshy doing? Is that a significant injury, or is he?
Well, we'll have to wait and see. He's gone for a scan today, Gregor, so he took a whack to the... It looked quite innocuous. I watched it back in slow motion. He's gone to clear the ball and just got a knock on the inside of his knee, so let's say fingers crossed now. It's in the lap of the gods, and hopefully he'll come unscathed, and hopefully it's just a bit of swelling and a bit of a knock, and he'll be fine. We'll see.
And Marley Watkins and Calmo Dowda, are they far away? Or?
Both back in full training. Yeah, both back in training. So, pleased to see them back. And Bales has played Bailey Wright's played a couple of games as well for the under-23s. He travelled with the squad the other night, so I played a part in that. It was great to see him back with us. And I think Frankie's playing for the under-23s tonight against Derby, which is a good moment for him. He's waited a while for that as well. He's had a frustrating time, and he'll be buzzing to get back on the grass. We'll go and support him there tonight. I think Corey's been running on the Ultra G as well in recent days as well, so that's a nice step up for him in his recovery. So yeah, it's good to see.
A couple of boosts there then. How will you look to break down Millwall possibly if they're sat in that low block that we saw them come? I think that's the right term, isn't it?
It's good terminology, Greg. We'll get you in for a coaching session.
When they came last season and they held out for a 0-0 draw.
Yeah.
Well, they probably deserved a point actually.
We don't quite know how they're going to come and set up. Of course, as I say, we do our due diligence as much as we can. But come match day, the focus is very much on us. It's going to be a game at times when we need to make sure we're compact to pick up them second balls and then break from there. That's our way of playing, isn't it? Is to win, is to run hard, to press and try and win the ball as high up the pitch as we can. When we have the ball, try and get behind the opposition lines. But you're right, they might come in at times. There might be moments in the game when we've got to be patient, and that's where we'll be asking for our supporters to stay, fully behind the players right through the game, because it might be periods in the game when we do need to be patient with the ball and try and move that defensive low block, as you call it, around. There's different ways to win a game, of course, and we'll be going out from the first whistle. The way we finished the game the other night is on the front foot, as I say, and trying to get that early goal.
Could be a huge commit as well to get a back-to-back wins again, and after some rocky form of late, almost as important maybe as winning up at Ipswich as well.
Yeah, we're very much focused on that. Yeah, we want to go on a run now, Gregor. Of course, as I say, we're obsessed. Whatever we talk about, whether it's training, recruitment, whatever we're talking about, that our obsession is winning football games. As whether you're a player, whether you're a member of staff or supporter, I suppose we want to win every week. Of course we do. There's processes behind that, and that feeling of the night was a nice feeling. We want to keep that going. We want to get a feel-good factor back around the stadium again. It's been a while since we've been at Ashton Gate, and as I say, we're looking forward to it.
And just checking, Josh Brownhill's back for this game, isn't it?
He is indeed, yeah. Brownie's back now after his ban, yeah.
Okay, and finally, just rounding up on yourself. I think I read this somewhere or watched this somewhere. I think you were saying that you'd been to see Eddie Jones and England rugby training when they were in Bristol. The England rugby union team. How did that go? Did you get a chance to speak to Eddie, or were you just watching on?
Yeah, myself and Macca went down. We were going to go and see him last season down in Surrey, but we had a fixture change and weren't able to get there. So we sort of kept emailing and kept hounding. And Dave, our media man's got some great contacts from working with the British Lions and stuff. And he arranged for us to go and see him, and they couldn't get rid of us. We ended up staying for a couple of team meetings after training, and they even asked us to stay for dinner, but we felt a bit like we were getting in the way at that point. But no, with me and Macca, we had probably had 45 minutes with Eddie Jones, and probably another half an hour or so with his other coaches, and it's just a chance to fire question after question, really. He's a guy that we love to bits. He's so experienced, and he was brilliant with us. He was absolutely brilliant. He's given us his contact details and asked us to stay in touch. So anything we can learn, not necessarily about tactics and stuff, psychology and all kinds of stuff. We were like two CID officers. We were question after question, so we enjoyed it. We absolutely loved it.
And just finally, I think you were spotted by one of my spies at Walsall v Charlton Athletic recently. Would that be? Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Would you have just been watching some players there?
Yeah, it was. There was only 2 games that night. It was either, I think it was Southend. We're playing in Southampton. I think it was Southampton in the I forget what they call the trophy now, the Football League trophy, or it was Walsall Charlton. Yeah. Or it was Walsall or Charlton, yeah. So it was just a chance to get around, and we always try and get around as many games as we can as a staff and scouts and analysts and everybody, just to get eyes on players, young players, and it was a good game actually, yeah.